This is the fourth week of our current message series, all about the importance of perseverance. Perseverance in our faith, in our relationship with Christ, and with His church. In this season, above all seasons of our experience, our faith is being tested. Your faith is being tested. Mine is too. We might not like it, but testing is actually a sign of God's favor for us. Our faith grows in the same way that muscle grows, through testing and trials and exercise and stress and tension. God tests you because without test and trial, you'll never mature in faith. You'll never go deeper in that relationship with Him. Testing prepares you for future blessing you would never enjoy or even recognize unless and until you persevere in your connection to Christ. You know, much of the support system in our culture for faith was fast fading pre-COVID. Now, as a result of COVID, it's absolutely collapsing. So through the course of this series, we're looking at how to persevere in our faith despite that challenge. And we'll be looking at 4 key factors that can help us out. So 2 weeks ago, we looked at the first one. We said we need connections. We need support to persevere in our faith. Seems obvious enough, but it's actually surprising how many people approach their faith and the practice of their faith as an entirely private, personal exercise. But we were never meant to try and grow and live our faith all alone and on our own. We need connections. We need support. Last week, we looked at the importance of passion, of energy, of drive when it comes to our faith. Jesus Christ was not a bland, boring, banal person. He had zeal for His message and mission, and He wants His followers to have zeal for His mission and message too. Zeal and passion are fostered by exploring new spiritual practices or renewing old ones. And that's what this season of Lent, of course, is all about. This weekend, we're going to look at another factor that's also critically important when considering perseverance. St. Paul talks about it in his letter to the Ephesians, which we heard in today's second reading. Paul lived in Ephesus for 3 years. The investment in Ephesus was strategic. It was the 4th largest city of the Roman Empire, the capital of the Roman province of Asia Minor. Its location also ensured it as an important center of commerce for the empire. The city was famous for so many things, but most of all, its large and beautiful temple to the goddess Artemis, an edifice considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Ephesus was an important city. And Paul wrote to the church there to help encourage them and expand the horizon of their faith, stating in his letter fairly early on an entirely matter-of-fact statement. No, we don't have it. An entirely matter-of-fact statement. You were dead in your transgression and your sin. You were dead. You know, maybe you don't believe in God, or maybe you believe in God, but you don't believe in a God who actually cares about what you do. As far as sin goes, it's your life and it's nobody's business. It's nobody's business so long as it doesn't hurt anyone, right? Well, St. Paul would respond, sin always hurts someone because it always hurts you. It hurts your heart. And over time, it can have a deadening effect. We can even become less of our true selves. That's what he's talking about here. And God very much cares about that. At the same time, transgressions, wrongdoing, sin, they're just a part of the human condition. They are. And Paul reminds us that we're all guilty as charged. Therefore, what? Therefore, we should feel bad and sad about ourselves and just go away? Well, Paul quickly places the reality of sin in a very different context. Let's see if this is working now. But God, who is rich in mercy, because of the great love he has for us, has brought us to life in Christ. Because of sin, we're in need of mercy. Turns out, God is rich in mercy. And that's not all, there's more. God is also rich in grace. He shows immeasurable riches of grace in Jesus Christ. God is rich in mercy. He's rich in grace. God stepped in and saved us from our sin through grace. Grace, in this instance, is all about getting in right relationship with God. And so St. Paul presses the point. For by grace you have been saved through faith. Through grace you have been saved through faith. It's not from you. It's the gift of God. It's not from your works. Grace through faith, not works. This is a point worth pausing on because historically it's been misunderstood by Catholics especially. We do not work our way to salvation. It's not something that we earn or even ever deserve. Through faith, we dispose ourselves to grace, which is God's free gift. And then it is in grace that we undertake works, good works that in turn build character on earth as well as treasure in heaven. Then comes my favorite verse of this passage, and it's the main verse that I think is the takeaway that I hope you walk away with and remember. He says, for we are God's handiwork. We are God's handiwork. In Greek, handiwork is poema, which gives us our English word poem, suggesting the writing of poetry. We tend to think of our life as ours, as our project. But your life is not yours. It's not your project, at least not your project alone. It's a partnership between you and God. And your project is in process. However old you are, whatever your stage or state of life, you're not done yet. God has more in store. And towards that end, he has work for you to do. It's not a checklist or a to-do list. The good works he has in mind for you are as much about getting you done as getting any project done. God grows us through good works. And he never gets discouraged about how long it takes us. In fact, he delights every time you grow even a little. God understands. God sees the best version of yourself. And he delights as you make progress in that direction through the good work that you do. Good work, Paul assures us, that God prepared for us in advance. How did he do that? Through the unique gifts that he's given you, your heart and what you care about, your personality, your experience, the way God has wired you. He's prepared you for some specific good work. Broadly speaking, there are three major areas of good work that God has created you to undertake, and he calls us to serve in all of these areas every chance we get, all of the time. The first would be about serving in your vocation and your career. If you're married, it means extending yourself in the life of your spouse. Or as a parent or grandparent, it means extending yourself in the life of your children. If you're single, it means extending yourself in the life of your friends and family. For everyone, for all of us, in your career, in your business, there is also good work God has for you to do too. As a teacher, it's about educating your students. For a financial person, it could be about helping other people win with their money. As a business owner, it's perhaps sharing wisdom that you've gained in business. All this work is about extending yourself in the lives of those you live with and those you work with. The flip side of this area of work brings another, and it's about serving in everyday life. Every day, 100 times a day, while living out your vocation and your career, serving those you live with and work with, there are other opportunities to serve too. There are other people you can be serving in little ways, in small ways. It's about holding the door for someone behind you, greeting others warmly, listening to someone who's struggling or needs a friend, giving money to charity, being gracious in the face of faults or failures or disappointment, being patient in traffic. This is also work about extending yourself, but here it's into the lives of people for whom you have absolutely no responsibility whatsoever. It's purely gratuitous, and yet it's part of the work God has in mind for you. And then there's a third area of work that God has given us to do too. It's different entirely from the other two. It's all about serving in mission or ministry here at church. You saw that coming, right? Some of the good work God has prepared for us to do is about working together with other Christ followers here in our church family. That's why it's so important to have a church family, because there is work God has given you to do here in your church that you cannot accomplish elsewhere, and nobody else can do it for you. Right now, we have some excellent opportunities for you to serve in our parish. For instance, you can serve on our creative tech ministry. Our tech team is all about the lights, the camera, the sound, those staffing the tech booth upstairs or directing our in-house or online broadcasts. All you have to have is the interest to do this work. And our staff and ministry leaders will give you all the training that you'll need. Or you can serve on our host team in host ministry. Our host team welcomes visitors and guests as well as regulars onto our campus, into the sanctuary, removing obstacles and anxiety that newcomers can have about a new space, while creating a hospitable, joyful environment for everybody else. You can serve on our host ministry or in our ops ministry. Our operation team keeps the campus and the buildings clean and neat, which these days also means safe. This work is behind the scenes for sure, but it's so important to the overall upfront experience of our campus on the weekend. The ops team is very near and dear to my heart, it's true, but not just because it's about neat and clean. It's about attractive, it's about irresistible, it's about who we want to be. You can serve on our next generation ministry. Our kids and student programs are only possible. They are only possible because of our kids and student ministers, and we need hundreds of them to make it all work. Next Generation Ministry is huge. It's growing. I think it's going to explode in growth this coming fall. And we're looking for small group leaders. We're looking for assistant leaders. We're looking for people to fill operational roles to support our leaders, all of them influencing and impacting the next generation. And again, the only qualification is a desire to serve. We'll get you the training and the security clearance you need to do it. And if you're not ready to come back to church, or you're not even here in the Baltimore area, you can serve online in our many online ministries. This is our prayer ministry, our grief chat host, Rebuild Ministry Association ministers working with other parishes, and so much else. If you're interested in serving or getting back to serving, simply text the word serve to 410-216-5534. That's 410-216-5534. And then follow the prompts. We'll get you into a perfect ministry team just for you. It's been a year. It's been a year since the COVID shutdown. We prayerfully remember all those who have died, and gratefully remember all those who have helped us through this period, especially healthcare professionals, first responders, and frontline workers. But I'm especially grateful during this period to all of our member ministers who have helped this parish not only survive, but thrive this past year. Safely, successfully reopening our Ridgely Road campus, hosting a festive and beautiful Christmas season, capped off with an amazing Christmas Eve celebration. And of course, pivoting to a complete online presence for nearly all of our programs and services, growing our online congregation, get this, growing our online congregation by 600% this past year. To all of our member ministers, thank you. Thank you for your leadership and friendship. Thank you for the good work that God has given you to do right here, allowing you to become the best version of you can be, and allowing us as a church to become the best version of us that we can be.